There are a lot of reasons why people decide to start their own backyard garden. There's also many reasons why people decide not to start their own backyard garden. But the biggest reason that I find that people don't start their own backyard garden is time. Where are they going to find the time? It is very time consuming, with most gardeners spending about 75% of their time in the heat watering. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how I plan on implementing multiple different watering techniques to irrigate my entire garden. We're going to use a mix of in-ground drip irrigation along with multiple different hydroponic systems. If that's interesting to you, hit that like button, hit subscribe. Let's get building. So before I get building, it's only fair that I should show you what is going to need irrigated. Here I have my garlic set up. This is where my tomatoes are going to go, but this garlic was planted early January. We have an in-ground raised bed here that's going to need irrigated. These two hydroponic systems. This raised bed right here. As well as the plan for right here. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do yet, if I'm going to put another raised bed or if I'm just going to cover this and make this a container garden. Also, there is going to be green beans all along this fence, so this is going to need irrigated as well. My berries, raspberries, blackberries, blueberries. My hydroponic setup here, my NFT rail, along with my IBC tote. These are going to need irrigated as well. And if I can get to it, my fruit trees as well. All right, so you saw where is going to need the water. Now, let's talk about how we're going to get it there. Coming back in to my garden, this is where the magic happens. This is the same IBC tote that's down there, except not cut. This is a 275 gallon or 1,000 liter, don't really, one or the other, IBC tote. They're very, very common. You can find these anywhere. This is wrapped in panda film to keep any algae bloom from happening. I have two barrels right here. Last year I ran a single barrel to my hydroponic systems right here, or to my two rain gutter grow system is what this is called. Those housed my peppers. They were fantastic last year. I will throw a clip up of my peppers. Beautiful. I just now added this one right here. I did this yesterday. I placed in the center block in a square formation. You can pick those up at any big box store, very cheap. I think I paid $1.75 a piece. I had to get 8. So I had barrels on hand. I grabbed a barrel from back by my other one, put it in, went through, found all of the hardware that I'm going to need for this. Holes were already drilled in these barrels. I was already planning on using these, just never got around to it for 2 years until today. So these are going to house nutrients. This is just rainwater. These will get filled up due to capillary action from this one through a system of hosing underneath. Just simple 1/2-inch garden hose. We're not using the 3/4, just 1/2-inch garden hose to create a little bit more pressure. It fills each one of these barrels up individually, independently. That way they can be filled up and used at the same time, as well as stopped and taken off if I need to do any cleaning or anything like that. This system is going to be very nice. And the IBC gets fed rainwater through my gutter system right here, which I haven't put it on there. This thing is empty right now. I do have a couple of days of rain coming up, so I want to get this done. That way I can have everything full and start using my system, because I'm going to be planting plants out here within the next week, 10 days. So the plan is to have this one just rainwater that can go to my garden beds, the raised beds. Then I have the 2 barrels, which are going to be going to separate hydroponic systems. This barrel is going to be going to the same 2 rain gutter grow systems. This one right here is going to be going to my 3 back here. Those are going to be herbs, I do believe, as well as I'm going to put a strawberry patch right here, a little patch of strawberries. Wait until you see the system I'm going to use for that. You guys are gonna love it. Now that we know where the water is coming from, let's talk about how it's going to get there. The things we're going to need for this build are very simple. Now, this is assuming that you already have a reservoir like this. All this video is to give you a creative idea so that you can try to implement this into your own situation to make yourself more self-reliant. Some cutters for our hose. We're using 1/2-inch garden hose, 1/4-inch drip line tubing, shutoff valves, T's, and 90s. That's all we're going to need. Now that we know where the water needs to go, we know where the water is coming from, we know what we're going to use to get it there. Now, let's go over how it's all going to come together and actually get it there. And I do have some kind of a rough draft of how I want this system to be built out, but I'm always out here. I always think about these things in my head. I'm always building and engineering things in my head, so I can kind of do these things without a schematic, but I like to have some kind of a rough draft on what I like to do. But that being said, I'm just like any other millennial kid. I love just building things just off of building things. I don't really need to look at stuff. I can take the remote apart and put it back together. So if you're like me, this kind of thing's right up your alley. And yes, there is an upfront cost to it. And yes, there is a day's worth of work involved in it, but it's going to save you about 50% of the time that you would be out here in your garden watering your plants in the hottest of days. Plus, it's going to be a lot healthier for your plants because they stay more consistently moist. Ooh. All right, we got something to eat. Took a little break, come back out. It's nice and cool. It's about 71 degrees. Perfect. Let's get this done. The idea that I have in mind is I want all of these reservoirs to be independent from each other. I want them to be filled up independently, and I also want them to distribute water or nutrients independently. That way I can fill them up while letting them work, or if I need to change the location of where they're going, I can do that as well. That's why I have them independent, but you'll see that in just a second. Once I get everything together, I'll go over how everything works, and you'll see just how this system goes together. Me, I like to reuse a lot of the things that I do. I like to DIY stuff, obviously, but I like to recycle things that I have used or can use. That being said, this is going to be one of those pieces. This just has a quick connect, which goes to my first barrel right here. We'll get into all this once everything's put together, but let me start putting some stuff together, get into more of how it's working. All right, let me attach this back so I can know exactly where to cut. I am going to reuse most of these fittings right here. You can see right here where our quick connect fitting goes. Just like that. That's how it goes on. Pulls off just like that. Next, I'm going to install a T right before this so I can split it off and go to the next barrel. But I do need to put a shutoff in between so I can shut off them independently. There we go. I've got pretty much everything underneath here that I need to get done. The barrels are ran. The IBC is hooked up. All the shutoffs are in place, and I think everything is ready to go. But now that we got the intake system hooked up, let's go ahead and work on the distribution. Here is what's left of my 1/2-inch garden hose, and that's roughly 40 feet or so. I used about 10 feet of it. We will see if that is enough. I do need to replace a hose right here. I'm going to replace this with a single piece, remove that T, and then we're going to run this one to its own line. This right here is going to be just connected to here. This one is already connected to our 2 right here. We're just going to separate these right here. Go ahead and disconnect them. Now that I have this fixed, I need to add in a coupler so that I can add a little bit of hose. First, I'm going to get this coupler on. Very easy. So push, there we go, push it on. Screw that on. Very simple connection. So let me see if I want to. All right, well, it's been about a couple of days now, and I have that done. At least all the distribution that I wanted to do. I still have to run a couple of the drip lines, but let's go over and check it out. All right, coming over and checking it out. I got everything that I wanted to get done over here. This is all completely set up. Let me show you what I have going on. So let's start with the IBC and the water coming in here. Water comes in through our system right there. I do not have a first flush, which instead of that, I have a filter right here. So let's start right here with the front of the IBC. This stays open. I usually keep this one closed unless I need to use it. I have ran this system to make sure everything works. Once I open this one up here, it travels down through the filter to either the intake line or the distribution line. The intake line is the one that goes around. You can see it goes to a T, and then another T, and then a hose that wraps around the back. So this one right here, let's go to the first one. This one right here with a shutoff goes down through the block around the back side down there, all the way around. That goes out to this bed right here, as well as something that's going to be on the other side of there. We'll get to that in a later date. Coming back, the second one goes through the block right here, goes to this right here, which also has a shutoff right there. That's for this barrel. And then the one that runs around the back side there, all the way around the back. That comes to right here. I will show you what this looks like from the back. All right, so if you can see through the fence here, the one splits off. This is the one that comes around the back here. And you can see it goes to this barrel right there. Goes right there. The one that goes down through the block and travels along the bottom to that T that travels to the distribution line. We'll get to that in just a second. This one travels all the way down to a T to my raised bed right here, which I ran out of hose to run this bed right here. I'll get to this in a later date, but once you see how I do it, it's very simple. I'll set this up just like I did over there. But it continues on to go outside the fence area to where I'm going to have a different setup as well as a different intake setup. So this line right here is a multi-purpose line. This is a intake as well as a distribution line. It distributes out to the beds as well as whenever I need to. That's for in case I need to water my plants but don't have any water in my IBC. I could turn on my outside faucet or outside spigot to use that water to bypass my IBC and send it out to any system that I need to. This system is very adjustable. Through a lot of the shutoff valves, I can dictate where I want to send any of this water. That's the unique part about this system that I really, really like. I put some time and effort into thinking about this, so let's continue. So to initiate the intake line from the IBC, I just turn it on and I turn that one. That allows the water to flow into my intake system. I set my system like this up for 3 specific reasons. And the first one, and these aren't in any order of importance, just the thought that comes in my head. The first reason that I set my system up like this is so that I can have individual nutrient barrels. The IBC is going to be strictly pH, or not pH, but strictly rainwater. My 2 barrels are going to be filled with nutrient-rich water. Each of them are going to be a different level of nutrients. The number 2 reason why is so that I can send out just rainwater to any of the systems that I need to, in case they don't really need, or they need to be diluted a little bit, or if I need to just give them just flat, straight rainwater, I can send that out to any system that I want to. And the third reason why I did this system, which we won't really get into a whole lot today, but I will give you just a little bit of a sneak peek. And the third reason why I plan on doing my system like this is I'm going to use the gravity from that to fill this up. In the same way that we just did that, this right here will fill up the same way. The gradient from here to this is perfect. This is slightly elevated and my hill, or my yard, goes downhill. So this right here is below grade of that. So all I have to do is set me up my system, which you saw it earlier. I will tap into a flow valve right into the side of that. This will get automatically filled whenever it rains, and I send the system to this IBC over here. So now that we understand how the intake side of this works, let's go over the distribution side. Coming back underneath our IBC, shut back off the intake. This is the distribution line right here. This is the distribution that comes from the barrels. You can see that it goes through this block right here and out to a series of hoses and shutoffs. Through these series of hoses and shutoffs, I can dictate where I want all of this water to go. I can have the nutrients in this barrel go to where they're normally supposed to go. I can have this one go to where it normally is supposed to go, or I can swap them over if I need to for a certain amount of time. I can't have them cross over each other while they are both still working. you know, my engineering skills aren't that good, and I don't have that much money to spend on a bunch of useless parts when I can just set it up like this. This does the same thing. I just have to turn one system off to allow flow to the other system. It's very, very simple. So this barrel here is going to be with my half strength to lower strength nutrients, and once it gets released, it comes out. This stays shut off, which forces it down, which this will have to be open, and it sends it out to the one that goes around. That goes around to those 3 hydroponic systems back there. Those 3 rain gutter grow systems, that's where that barrel goes. Now, the second or the first barrel, depending how you look at it, this barrel right here is going to be my fruiting vegetables, like my peppers and things like that. This is going to be a high strength nutrient. Now, same thing. Once I release this, this comes out, and it can go either way. As long as this is shut off, it forces it to go that way. As long as this middle one is shut off, it forces it to go down where it's supposed to go. This will obviously have to be open, just like this one over here, and that allows it to go to these 2 hydroponic systems right here. So these 2 right here were my hydroponic peppers were last year, and they turned out fantastic. I imagine it's going to be a lot of the same this year. Each one is independent. I could turn off each one if I have peppers in this one, but not that one. Everything in this is intuitive and able to be independently shut off. Now, obviously, if I want to open this, and close this one, I can send this nutrient line across down to this one, as long as I have this closed. Then this nutrient will go all the way across this and down to there. Same thing with this one, vice versa. If I want to send these nutrients down to this line, I could do the exact same thing. I could shut this one, open that one, and keep that one shut, or shut that one. You know what I'm saying. And if I want to use it for any reason, I need to fill up my watering can, I put this access point right here, which leaves me about 14, 15 inches or so. That way I can stick my watering can underneath, just like that, and turn it on, and it'll fill that up. Or I can just open this up, leave that shut, and then it bypasses, goes through the brick. If this is open, through the brick to the distribution, hits this T, goes down, and goes out to the garden bed. The garden bed has its distribution line ran all the way across the top. It comes around the back over to this bed, where it does the same. Goes across the top, to a shut off afterwards. From here, it goes to a couple of 90s, goes to a 90 here, and then a 90 at the corner. That sends it back towards my fence. On this side of the fence, remember, it comes here, turns this way. Now it goes all the way down to right here, where it splits into a T, splits off. This is going to be going to this IBC right here, which this is a fully integrated, self-contained hydroponic system. Stay tuned if you want to know how I built this. I'll get into more detail about this in a later video, because I got something really interesting coming up for this. But it tees off, goes around the IBC to the corner, comes down, shut off where I can turn it off from here, and from here it will water my grapes. Sorry about the guy mowing his grass next door. Like I said, I can't control everybody. but it gets shut off right here at the end. You can see there's an end right there. I haven't tightened it down yet. I want to flush the system out before I actually get cooking with this portion of it. I have tested it. It does work, but I want to make sure that I flush everything out before I go poking stuff and doing all that stuff. And I'll have to flush it afterwards. You always flush after you put your lines in if you're adding any drip lines or anything. So like I said, this is a very, very intuitive system. This thing is very unique in my opinion. I haven't seen too many people run systems like this that can be distributed in multiple ways to multiple different locations. I can send any one of these nutrient barrels right here, any one of them. I can send the nutrients or just the plain water to any spot in this garden. I can send nutrients all the way back to those grapes if I wanted to. Now I did get one little portion of the drip line in. I'm still waiting on a couple of things from Amazon. I did order a second round of the hose for my other bed here so I can finish it, as well as a couple of the small 1/4-inch tubing fittings, like the spikes and the blocks, so I can put one at the end stoppers or whatever. But once I get those, I will finish this up right here. It's not really that big of a deal. I don't have too many plants in here. Those garlic, I sat out here and I watered. It took me probably about 10 minutes to water all these about half an hour ago or so. We still have about 2 hours worth of daylight. It's a beautiful, beautiful Sunday evening here. It's about 65 degrees and it's beautiful. Okay, so here we have our first little drip line put, and you can see how I put it. I'm going to do sections of this. I decided to run this distribution line all the way over the top and break off into just little sections versus putting one line and doing the whole entire thing. By the end of it, the drip could be a little bit less than the very front of it right here. The very front's going to have the most pressure since this is the very first spot out of the IBC. The most pressure is going to be right here. But the fact that we split into this every so often and keep these lines short, we can kind of keep that pressure up. Let's turn it on and see how she reacts. You can see I've already used it a little bit to see how it works, but let me show you guys. Okay, back at the IBC, I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to turn on that, and we're going to send it out to the beds. And instantly, they are instantly working. We've got it weaved in between our celery plants. Now let's check the last one. Let's see how the drip is on the last one. Oh yeah, it's good. These are, I think, a ½ gallon per hour drip emitters every 6 inches. We did get a little bit of rain over the past 2 days. Well, the first day we got roughly all sprinkles. It just drizzled all day. Really didn't get too much water collected. But last night it did rain. It did rain pretty good. So we ended up with about 180 gallons of water, which I think now is about 175 gallons of water, which is great for a starting point. Now that we've seen the drip emitters working, let's go ahead and watch these barrels get filled up. And just in case anything was to happen, I'm going to go ahead and shut that off. I am going to have a shut off at each one of these lines. Everything is going to be able to be shut off. Coming back to the IBC, let's go ahead and stop it from going down. We will, let me see this way. There we go. We'll shut that off as well. We're going to shut off our distribution line. Now let's open up our intake line. Now these are open. Oh, forgot. I forgot to open it up. There we go. There we go. Filling up as expected. Oh, I'm sure it'll be slowly, but nonetheless, it's passive. Doesn't require power. All right, let's check this one out. Yeah, filling up slowly, just like the other one. And this is how I keep track of how much water is in there. You can see right now we are at 175 gallons. This is completely wrapped in a Panda film, as well as a board over top to block any light from going in here and causing any problems. Let's sit back, let those fill up for about 30 minutes or so. I'm gonna go have me a medicine break, and then we'll come back. Once they have some water in them, we'll try to send them out to these hydroponic systems, and I'll show you how they work. All right, it's been about 40 minutes. Let's take a look and see how full they are. This one's filled up a little bit over top of the intake port. I think I might have yep. Okay. Yeah, this one's okay. This one's way over it. So I have a little bit of a drip right here that I need to fix, but that's not a big deal. I have not had these full yet, so now that the water is above that and is putting water pressure on this right here, it's allowing it to leak. So, not that big of an issue. Let's go ahead and give it a little test run. So, like I said, this one right here is supposed to go down and around to these two systems right here, to these two rain gutter grow systems right here. Let's go ahead, set everything up. We're going to set this open. This one's closed, so it's going to force it to go down this way. This one is closed as well. Let's see if our shut all, yep, this one is on as well. You can see I need to clean out a bunch of stuff in here. It's very dirty in there. There's leaves and all kinds of stuff. Right before I go to use this system, I will clean this out thoroughly. I don't want to clean it out and then have to clean it out again because there's leaves and everything falling all over the place. So I will clean these right before I go to use them. I have roughly about a week before I go actually setting this system up. Subscribe if you want to find out how I use this system. Let's go ahead, release the water. Oh, can hear it instantly. Working perfect. Now this will just fill this entire gutter here until the float valve lifts up and it shuts the water off. It's on, shuts off. And you can adjust how high you want this to float up by unscrewing and moving this around. Just like that. This will fill this system right here up. And I imagine if it's working for this one. Yep, this one is working as well. So these will stay filled up as long as this reservoir is full and as long as these reservoirs are full. Well, this one right here. And like I said, I can move this across and down if I need to. Or I can just basically open these up, close these, close that, and I can send just rainwater from my IBC down to that if I need to. Like I said, I can send any one of these to any location in my garden. Let's go ahead and shut it back off. Now that we know it's working. Not to mention I can splice in anywhere in between, anywhere I want. If I happen to set plants up somewhere, I can even water my grapes, which I haven't set any drip rings around my grapes yet, so stay tuned for that. And I'm contemplating on running it all the way out here to my fruit trees. My fruit trees are just on the other side of this fence. I can run a line down here and have it water all of my fruit trees. So I think that's where we're going to end this one today. This is going to be kind of a two-parter. We're going to still set up all of our hydroponic systems and that IBC. So stay tuned for that. We've got all that stuff coming up and all the vegetables we have going on. We still have some vegetables to start. We just started some cucumbers. You can go check that video out. If you want to see anything about these fruit trees right here, go watch this video right here. I'll see you guys next time.